Hi, I'm Marcus Jackman. I'm the pastor at Copper Hills Church in Harriman. Can you relate to this guy? Um, how many times have we found ourselves in a terrible place, a place of ruin, a place of pain, a place of loss? Uh, and instead of looking down to say, how did I get here? What have I been running after? How have I been pursuing it? Instead of that, we shake our fist at the heavens. How do we deal with loss? How do we deal with pain? How do we deal with having our ways frustrated or brought to nothing? That's an important question that sooner or later we all do have to face. Proverbs speaks very clearly of this. Proverbs is the way of wisdom. What is it to walk in a way that orients our lives unto the Lord, His beauty, His power, His holiness, justice, His goodness, and His righteousness and His grace to us? How do we live in light of those things? Well, Proverbs 19, 1 through 3 says this: Better is a poor person who walks in his integrity than one who is crooked in speech and is a fool. Desire without knowledge is not good, and whoever makes haste with his feet misses his way. When a man's folly brings him to ruin, his heart rages against the Lord. Is that us? We see even in these three verses, a poor person walking in his integrity avoids these things. He's not crooked in speech. He's not acting like a fool. And a fool is one who forgets God, who lives as if God's call and ownership of our lives through his redemption of us in Jesus Christ. A fool walks as if that's not true and tries to make his or her own way. So, as opposed to a poor person walking in integrity, a fool then, in verse 2, without knowledge, indulges his or her desires, making haste with their feet. That leads to not failing at success, it leads to missing your way. It leads on a path then that verse 3 shows us is about ruin. That kind of folly, making haste, seeking this desire without submitting our hearts to the knowledge of God, that brings us to ruin sooner or later. We know it's going to happen, whether it's something we see in this life or it's something we see on the day of judgment. And the heart of an unregenerate person will then shake their fist at the Lord and say, why have you done this to me? Even now, though, we who do know him, we who do love him, are we shaking our fist at God for foiling our plans because we have forsaken integrity, because we have left the path of wisdom and knowledge and indulged our desires and made our feet to haste after our own appetites? Why is walking in integrity and trusting the results to the Lord, whether I'm richly materially blessed or not, why is that not enough for us? What is it that we're after when our feet make haste on our own ways without knowledge of him, ignoring that knowledge? What are we after? And when ruin comes, as it will, as it does, as it always does, what would you and I need in order to humble ourselves before the Lord? Not to stand here, this is a poignant picture, not to stand there in the place where we have walked and shake our fist at the Lord, but what humility and what grace would we need to know and rejoice in order to turn from our folly in that moment, to turn away from it, and not to shake our fist at heaven, but to raise our hand to heaven and say, you are right again, you are proven right, rescue me in your goodness and grace. Rescue me. Not to rage against him. That's the ultimate act of folly. He is the only one who can rescue. We cry out to him in our time of ruin, in our time of loss. We face that. We don't shake our fist at him. We hold out our hand. We cry out, Abba, Father, come again and rescue me. I've acted a fool. Will you forgive? Will you restore? Will you redeem? And in Christ Jesus, we see he is able and he is willing to redeem and rescue, to take us out of ruin, even if it means walking in humble, poor integrity. It's worth it before him. Go in his grace and his peace today, sisters and brothers.